Government says it expects the fall armyworm invasion to spread to more farms soon, even though it maintains the situation is under control. Deputy Agric Minister Dr. Sagre Bangarbre announced in Parliament on Wednesday that 112,000 hectares of farm fields have been destroyed by the pests since April. The figure is up from initial estimates of about 25,000 hectares as at May this year. Dr. Sagre told Joy News after addressing MPs they expect the pests to spread to about 10% of farms across the country from the current 6%. He however says the country's food security shouldn't be compromised.
112,000 hectares is the total land area cropped that has been affected. But being affected doesn't mean that the crops are destroyed. There are some that are affected and can be destroyed by just about 10% or 5% or even 1%. Some can be destroyed up to about 90% or even 100%.
Exactly, so that then anyone will be alarmed if up to 6%.
From the estimations, we realized that about 6% were completely destroyed. About 6%. That is why we considered that individual farmers might have food security crisis. But overall, we might even be better than previous years because this year the rains delayed, but those that have set in now are promising. And then our program of subsidized fertilizer and planting for food and jobs, that is helping the people to get improved seeds and fertilizer, is also ongoing.
Mainly the concern has been that earlier, sometime in April, March, April, we were told about 1,400 hectares. By June, the figure had gone up to 25,000 hectares. Now we're hearing the 112,000 plus. Isn't this an indication that it's going out of hand in terms of how fast it's spreading?
Well, that is the nature of the worm, and it is alien to Africa. You realize in my answer, we indicated that it's a native of the North and South America. So it is very alien to us, and so our technocrats are now learning.
Can we expect further spread beyond the 112,000 hectares that have been destroyed?
It is possible, but the important thing is to have control measures available so that if it affects any farm, for instance, if a farmer detects the presence of the worm today and he is able to report today, within 24 hours, the ministry will respond. As I've already indicated, I said the amount that has been destroyed is just about 6%, and we don't expect it to go up to 10%, the amount that has been destroyed completely. We don't expect it to go up to 10%. So yes, we know that individual farmers might be affected, but overall food security, we might even have a net gain.
Some MPs are, however, unconvinced by the renewed assurances. Tamale Central MP Alasan Suyini wants government to attach more importance to the fight against the pests.
I think that the government is taking the issue lightly, and that is scary. I think that the issue of armyworm infestation of farms is something that many farmers are alarmed about, and as policymakers and stakeholders, especially in charge of the governance of this country, they must be treating it more seriously than they are doing now. I recall when the minister held a press conference some time ago, he was almost offhanded in his responses when he talked about the fact that only about 1,400 acres hectares were affected, and they were just going to go and spray it and that will be all. He seemed dismissive and offhanded in his response at the time. And so I am not surprised that with such an attitude today we are talking of over 112,000 hectares of farms being affected. So if that attitude couldn't stop the 1,400 hectares that were affected, and we still seem to be going on with that attitude, even as we have recorded 112,000 hectares, I am afraid that the assurance that we will not have food security situations in the coming year is doubtful. I don't think that if you look at the developments that many farmers are reporting across the country, I think that we should brace ourselves, and the government should be leading us to do that for the shortages that we may experience. For example, an international agency, I listened to one of your documentaries where you quoted an international agency that talked about how prices of food are likely to double within the course of 2017 alone as a result of this armyworm infestation. So it has already been predicted, and so I don't understand why government is denying it. And in your report again, you talked about 25,000 hectares at the time, and that was the size of Kumasi. Now we're talking about 112,000 hectares. So if you perhaps do such, graphic examples, if you give such graphic examples, then people understand the magnitude of the problem. If you have a farmland the size of Kumasi being affected by armyworms, and you tell me that it will not affect our food security as a country, I have my doubts.
Now, the lack of a quote-unquote neutral Chinese interpreter to assist in Accra High Court forced the adjournment of the case of Galamsey, Kimping and Huang. This was after both the prosecution and defense joined to protest the selection of a Chinese graduate of the Ghana School of Law as an interpreter. And Huang, popularly known as Aisha, and 4 other Chinese nationals are accused of engaging in illegal mining. Joining us, Joseph Akable has more.
So it was business as usual at the law court complex on Wednesday, but our focus was on one of the courtrooms high above the criminal court 4 to be specific, where the case involving An Huang and some 4 other Chinese nationals is being heard. Now, the Chinese interpreter who was expected to assist the court was brought in today on Wednesday, but the concern that was raised by lawyer for the 5 accused persons was they needed information as to the background of this individual. Director of Public Prosecution Yvonne Obuobisa, who took over prosecution today for the state, informed the court that a gentleman had recently graduated the Ghana School of Law and waiting to be called to the bar sometime in October. As she stated that they would have preferred a Ghanaian national who understands Chinese to assist the court rather than a Chinese who is again competent in our law to be assisting the court in that regard. This was backed by lawyer for the 5 accused persons, Bernard Oredu, who said they were of the view that instead of the gentleman perhaps interpreting to the court with his understanding in the legal education, he could maybe, tamper that interpretation a bit, for which reason they would prefer that a Ghanaian national with competence in Chinese would be brought in to assist the court. Justice Baden said he had no reason to doubt the competency of the gentleman, but he thinks in the interest of justice it was appropriate that an interpreter who both sides would be comfortable with will be brought in to assist the court. Justice Baden adjourned hearing to July 21 with assurance that the judicial service through the chief interpreter will be assisting the court with a Ghanaian competent in Chinese to help lawyers on both sides as well as the accused persons. Reporting for Joy News, Joseph Akable, Law Courts Complex.
The University Teachers Association is giving government a 2-week ultimatum to reconstitute the various councils of the universities to avoid disruption of the academic calendar. According to UTAC, failure by government to do this and also fast-track the processing and payment of the 2015-2016 book and research allowances will compel them to take an adverse action. UTAC says several meetings with the Education Ministry and the President 2 months ago on the matter have not yielded any results.
The University Council is the ultimate decision-making body of the university. So the absence of the council affects almost everything, from appointment to promotion to financial transactions, contracts, and even graduation of our students. And so it is unacceptable that for 6 good months and still counting, none of our public universities has a council. And so we are again calling on government to expedite action in the reconstitution of the councils. Several efforts have been made. We have spoken to NCT, we have spoken to the Minister of Education. We have even gone as far as to the presidency to speak to the president himself about some 2 months ago about the havoc that the absence of councils are causing to the universities. And he promised that within the shortest possible time, he was going to make sure that the councils were constituted. But unfortunately, as we speak, there's no information as to when the councils will be reconstituted. To even make the matter worse is the fact that the universities are graduating. They are ready to graduate their students. And the absence of a council is critical. In fact, it's inimical to that activity. You know, councils are the awarding institutions. They award the degrees and the diplomas and what have you.
The union is also hinting on fiercely resisting government's university remittance policy, which mandates the various universities to remit 34% of the internally generated funds to government. President of UTAG, Dr. Harry Agbanu, says the union will head to court on this matter. He explains the universities are already financially burdened with numerous utility bills.
Internally generated funds are not even sufficient to pay the bills that the universities are supposed to pay. That is why it is even a shock to us that government at this point is demanding that 34% of internally generated funds should be given to them, paid into a certain account. So the universities are now to generate funds for government instead of government funding the universities. And that is what we are going to take them on with all the vim, all the strength in us. We will not sit down for anything like that to happen. Government is supposed to fund the institutions, and if you are not able to fund the institutions, and the institutions are struggling to generate their own funds, and you are sitting somewhere that when they get whatever they struggle to get, 34% of that money should be given to you, it does not make sense to us. Well, the options are open to us, but we sincerely think that universities are not included in the MDAs that the government is interpreting that to mean. It is our view that universities are excluded from that particular legislation by Parliament. But if the government insists, then maybe they may have to go to court to test whether the universities are supposed to generate funds for government or government is supposed to fund the universities.
Still ahead on Joy News Prime, health workers at the Pantang Psychiatric Hospital have called off their 3-day strike over encroachment of the hospital's lands following the intervention of the health minister. And then also in the bulletin, still ahead, a 35-year-old policeman has shot himself dead at Old Tafo in Kumasi. Now, the apparent suicide is said to have happened shortly after he had received a phone call. We'll be back in a bit. Stay tuned. A 35-year-old policeman has shot himself dead at Old Tafo in Kumasi. The apparent suicide by Corporal Ebenezer Ochre is said to have happened minutes after receiving a phone call from a yet-to-be-identified source at 7:30 Wednesday morning. Kwesi Debra reports.
According to a cousin, Mark Boateng, a supposed girlfriend rushed out to inform residents about Ebenezer's threat to kill himself soon after the phone conversation, but it was too late. He is quoted to have made a statement, "What will happen if I kill myself?" She was on the way to inform police when she heard a gunshot. Ebenezer was found dead in a pool of blood with gunshot wound in the head.
And I'm a pen and mammy and I'm fem say, yes, it two out on a damn routine. To me buy and nabby can barber maybe I'm a friend from my friend, not belly.
I called him, but he couldn't pick up. I heard he shot himself dead. I came to find the police here, and they told me he shot himself after receiving a phone call. I don't know of any psychological problem. We rarely converse.
Or police station from I rescue me. Or in the 22 Tomba and the now. The tunis in Nasi. Some in Como. No, maybe I may buy them Baba discount. Nasi be near my feet.
The police have conveyed the body to an unknown location and will address the press after investigations. Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
Students of the St. Chi Methodist JHS in the Eastern region are having to study under trees after an old mud brick structure built several decades ago collapsed, leaving them without any classrooms. Though a JHS block project began in 2013 could have been available to them, the structure has been abandoned halfway. Correspondent Kwame Yanka has more.
Apart from the challenge with an uncompleted classroom block, there is also the issue of furniture. 2 or 3 pupils share a desk meant for one, while some are seated on cement blocks. The headmaster, Samuel Wadiado, laments that even the new structure is a death trap. According to him, the uncompleted building built over 4 years ago has no pillars supporting it. Those school authorities have attempted to get the Sujuman District Education Office and the Assembly to fix the problem. Their efforts so far have been fruitless. They've been told that there are no funds to complete the abandoned junior high school, which is a Get Fund project.
It all started on the 30th of May 2013, and they told us they will complete it in 3 months' time. But up to date, whenever we complain about it, they are also telling us that it is a Get Fund project, and now they are no more getting the funds to complete the work.
This has compelled school authorities to combine 2 different local language classes. While some study ever, others practice Ekwiapimtri in the same classroom. Their day is determined by changes in the weather.
What I want the government to do is, if you can look at that building over there, we want the government to complete the building for us so that we can study in it.
We don't have desks. The mono desks, we are sharing it in pairs. Even some of us, the desks are sport. We even sit on blocks. The teachers even do not have an office. We are lacking computer labs. So when it's time for ICT, we find it difficult to learn. We want the government to help us to also provide us ICT labs and new dual desks to sit on.
We have shortage of desks and classrooms. When it starts raining, we don't get a chance as students to learn or study or even get what the teacher is trying to teach us. I think if the government help us through that desks, even chalk to write on the board, is very difficult for us. Some of us, the students, we normally contribute and buy the chalk.
The students say they can only fairly compete with colleagues in the cities if they learn in a conducive environment. A report by Kwame Yanka for Joy News.
The construction firm which built the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, Kero Galval, has begun some maintenance work on the structure. This follows development of potholes around some sections of the interchange. They are currently patching the potholes whilst undertaking other repair works. Joy News' Beatrice Edu was at the Nkrumah interchange and filed the following report.
So it's been almost a week since Joy News was at this site at Circle around the overpass and reported about the pothole. As you can see in the background, the engineers are working on it right now. They are almost filling the pothole, not be seen completely, and you can see that work is currently ongoing. The place was cordoned off, as you can see, and right now they are trying to fix it. I've been speaking to some of the traders here, and they tell me that from last week until yesterday, nothing had been done, but as you can see, they are working on it right now. None of the engineers on site want to talk to us. They've referred us to their office to get information regarding what actually happened and what they are doing about this and how long it's probably going to take until the entire road is opened for pedestrians and drivers. I just moved to the Jinyame Suhum in Sauhem bus station, which is just right by this pothole that is being fixed. I have one of the drivers here with me. His name is Mr. Mensah. What's your full name, sir?
Yeah, Abraham Mensah.
Great. So you've been a driver here for some time. Since when did you notice the pothole which is being fixed now?
Oh, sometimes when we are coming, it has affected us, or there's more traffic there. But when you are on the road or you just park anyhow, but policemen are coming, they say we arrest. So you have effect.
So were there times that some drivers nearly had accidents because of it?
Oh, that one, please, I can't tell, but I know that it's affected us.
They've started fixing it?
Yes, yeah, I know. But one of sometimes the workers, what they are, you use the work small time, they just leave it.
You think they are not doing a good job?
No.
So what do you expect?
We are expecting that they must continue to do the work earlier, so that the place is very small. The place is very small. So if they are doing the work, they must continue to do the work earlier. Yeah, they're doing it well. When you are spacing the place is very small. But they should not leave it like that. They should not leave it like that, so they should do it earlier.
Members of Parliament are demanding increased support for science and technology research following the launch of Ghana's first satellite into space by the All Nations University College. They say this is important if more such innovations can be introduced in the country. The House has on Wednesday been commending researchers at the university for the achievement. Kumbungu MP Ras Mubarak read a statement on the floor of Parliament on the issue.
This House, just like the executive arm of government, must not just celebrate the success. We must add our voices to calls to help the university and other institutions of higher learning that are exploring new technology. The nation must be seen to be investing and spending more on research and development. Data from the Ministry of Finance show less than 5% of our GDP is spent on research and development. That would not get us anywhere.
As Parliament, we must be seen to be championing this policy direction and shaping who should be the primary agents of state who will harness the information, critical information, which will be developed or received from these satellites that are being launched. They're talking about launching a GhanaSat-2 already. GhanaSat-2 may be able to do more than GhanaSat-1 is able to do currently, which is just to focus on our maritime boundaries, our coastal areas.
The benefits of the Sat-1, as has been previously said, include monitoring Ghana's coastline for mapping purposes, and most importantly, building capacity in space science and technology. Mr. Speaker, Ghana is obviously going to benefit from Sat-1, and indeed, this is time for us to put in more in terms of research, in terms of development, so that we can advance such purposes.
Well, still ahead in the bulletin, there's a really foul stench emanating from a massive refuse dump at the Malam Market here in Accra, except it isn't everyone who wants the dump evacuated.
I don't think it's affecting us. If it is affecting us too, we're claiming the last my boss said. So we want the market to build for us. So if they will come in to help us to reclaim this as we are saying, I think it will better, and all this will stop.
We have business news next.
Welcome to business. The government is making some strong progress in ensuring that it keeps expenditure within budget limits. Latest fiscal data covering government's financial operations shows that government spent far less than what has been approved by Parliament up to April this year. There's more in the following report.
The data show that government's expenditure from January to April this year was 3.6 billion cedis short of the 17 billion cedis targeted. This can be attributed to progress made in containing the wage bill as well as interest payments. For instance, government planned to set aside 4.6 billion for interest payments but ended up paying 4.1 billion cedis. Capital expenditure was also under control as government was indeed within budget. The total amount of money that managers of the economy were planning to spend was more than revenue mobilized. However, this was still within what was programmed. Total revenue mobilized was still a major challenge as government failed to get all the 13 billion cedis it was looking for. This is because most of the tax types were not doing well.
Inflation has dropped further to 12.1% in the month of June. This, according to the Ghana Statistical Service, is the lowest rate since December 2013. The rate represents 0.5 percentage points compared with 12.6% recorded in the previous month of May. Here's acting government statistician Bawadie outlining factors that accounted for the decline.
Inflation measures the change in general price levels of goods and services. The rate declined from 12.6% in the month of May to 12.1% in June. According to acting government statistician Bawadie, the main drivers of the reduction were petroleum prices and some food commodities.
It is measured in two ways: the annual or year-on-year inflation rate, which measures the change in the average price level over a 12-month period, and the monthly change rate, which measures the change in the average price level between the current month and the previous month. The annual inflation rate for June 2017 was 12.1%. This means that the change in the general price level was 12.1% over the one-year period from June 2016 to June 2017. The year-on-year inflation rate for May 2017 was 12.6%. The monthly change rate for June 2017 was 0.9%. This means that the general price level went up by 0.9% between May 2017 and June 2017. The monthly change rate recorded for May 2017 was 0.7%. Now I want to look at the Consumer Price Index for the period March to June 2017. For this series of the Consumer Price Index, we have the year 2012 as the base year, and it has a value of 100.
Meanwhile, the Upper East region recorded the lowest rate of 8.6%, while the Upper West had the highest rate of 13.1% in the month under review.
We mentioned that Upper West region recorded the highest combined inflation rate in June 2017. And 7 commodity groups recorded inflation rates that were higher than the regional average of 13.1%. These were transport with a rate of 36.0%, furnishings, household equipment and routine maintenance a rate of 19.3%, clothing and footwear a rate of 18.2%, miscellaneous goods and services a rate of 17.3%, recreation and culture 16.2%, health 15.8%, and communications 14.1%. 0.8%.
Aside from the Upper West region, 4 other regions, including Greater Accra, Bonahafo, Ashanti, and Western, recorded inflation rates higher than the national average of 12.1% in June.
The Ashanti Regional Office of the Microfinance and Small Loans Centre, MASLOC, has impounded vehicles and other property from its loan defaulters. Among them are 12 taxi cabs and over 20 tricycles seized from people who received financial support from the scheme 5 years ago. Officials say the recovery exercise has so far increased its revenue. Prince Appiah reports.
12 taxi cabs and over 20 tricycles are among the seized items from people who received support from the scheme 5 years ago. MASLOC officials say wrong addresses provided by some beneficiaries are making the recovery exercise difficult. Ashanti Regional Manager Hajia Zainab Saleo says the office is determined to trace all defaulters to honor their commitments.
We have a number of cars disbursed in Ashanti region, some data since 2011 up to date, and frankly speaking, they are not being paid. We have some since they collected since 2012, they've not been paid one person. And we have the TVS that they start disbursement since March till November, up to date, they are not paying. March 2016, last year, that one too, the class are not paying. We have the TVS. That is what, as of now, we are depending on March as our recovery. That one, because it's new, it was disbursed in some in June 2016, some November 2016. So that is currently what is giving us recovery. That one, because it's new in town and people are patronizing it, the clan, if you change them, they'll come and pay the outstanding balance and pay, start paying the repayment. Apart from that, as for the cars, they're not paying. But some are willing to pay. We give them 6 months because the data have already expired. All the loans in system from Ashanti region, all of them did have expired. All of them.
What is the challenge they tell you?
It's not easy. It's not easy. As at now, the problem we are having is the tricycle. According to some of them, that they didn't know that they are supposed to pay. I don't know how they were able to get this tricycle. Some are complaining, and it was given to them during the campaign time. They didn't know they were supposed to pay. But one thing amazed me that they were able to fill forms, put in their passport pictures, bring up guarantor. If somebody is dashing you something, you will not pass through all these formalities. But I know that some of them, because they can't afford to pay, that's why they are trying to just make story that they are not supposed. They didn't know aware that they are supposed to pay.
Meanwhile, some beneficiaries are reported to be rebranding and selling MASLOC property. Hajia Saleo says the scheme is working with police to arrest offenders.
I don't know how this thing were disbursed to them. They know that it was free. So when we try to call them, to sit down with them, see how they can go about the repayment, they start changing the colors, they start changing the numbers and the rest. The economists, especially the TVS, we bound into one that it was from the Western region. That was given to one person. I don't want to mention his name. I think he's popular known in the Western region. That property cost 13,600. That is a tricycle. And the person bought it from Western region to sell it in Ashanti region at 2,800. People are reselling it. And out of ignorance, people are buying it. But it's just a problem. You have to deal with it. And the taxis too, you know, normally MASLOC items, you normally write MASLOC on it. They are trying to just change the colors. We have a lot. If you go to RCC, we park some at the Jusu police station that the person tried to change the identity of the property. That's what is going on currently.
Prince Appiah reporting.
Now, many Ghanaian businesses do not place emphasis on advisory services towards transforming their operations, according to a consultant with the Africa Business Entrepreneurship, Ama Jampo. This is unduly affecting the growth of a number of small and medium-scale enterprises in Ghana. In an interview with Joy Business, she lamented the lackadaisical attitude of affected enterprises investing in such services as also posing a challenge to the consultancy firms.
okay, there are various challenges in the system, obviously, but we're looking to overcome those and have strategies and tactics in place for them to ride the storms and maybe adjust the way that they operate to make them more efficient and able to.
What are some of the challenges you encounter in this business?
I think the attitude towards service providers. So a lot of local businesses don't typically understand the need to pay for advice and services, but they really need advice and services. So I think it's that's probably one of the main things as a consulting service provider to SMEs in particular. I think that's one challenge.
But don't you think it's because the service charges are too outrageous and that's why they are not able to, or they think there's no reason in paying that huge amount to get the advisory service?
I think it's relative, really. It depends on what you're getting from the service provider. And obviously, you need to agree these things up front. If there's an understanding of the value we are delivering to the client, then obviously there should be an agreement and everyone sticks to the agreement. We provide mentoring, coaching, training, one-to-one management services, and a network of service providers to assist entrepreneurs in Ghana to achieve their objectives and to grow. I mean, we're really about growth and want to see one-man or small entrepreneurs actually grow into established businesses with systems and procedures to enable them to grow their businesses and raise funding eventually, of course, to continue to grow their businesses.
And that's all by way of business tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji Viafe. Good evening.
Health workers at the Pantang Psychiatric Hospital have called off their 3-day strike over encroachment of the hospital's land. This follows the intervention of the Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Menu. The staff embarked on a demonstration on Wednesday, halting mental health care delivery after their 2-day sit-down strike failed to bring them the results they had hoped for. Johnny's Maxwell Agbagba was there and has come through with this report.
It's very quiet here at the outpatient department of the Pantang Psychiatric Hospital. Usually, hundreds of patients report here daily for their medication, while fresh cases are also reported here. The usual hustle and bustle is completely missing, as the nurses who are supposed to provide this service are demonstrating.
We're currently here on the compound of the Pantang Hospital. On Monday, it was a sit-down strike. On Tuesday also, there was another sit-down strike. All efforts to get various stakeholders, the Ministry of Health, the Lands Commission, to resolve this issue has not yielded any results. These staff members of the Pantang Psychiatric Hospital are today embarking on a demonstration. In fact, they are leaving no stone unturned to register their displeasure.
Well, if we are spectators, if we are citizens and we are not spectators, I know our president is citizen, he's not spectators, he will listen to us.
You think he will listen to you?
Yes.
But we hear that, previous governments have not listened to you. They've not done anything to help the situation.
Let's talk about president.
So what do you think this present government...
We want the present government to come our aid, to come and stop the development and acquire the land for Pantang Hospital.
Back at the outpatients department, relatives of some patients are stranded. This woman has come all the way from the Bronx Alpha region. My medical personnel will not attend to her daughter. She's coming all the way from the Bronx Alpha region. In fact, she stays there at the Bronx Alpha region, and her daughter actually lives here in Accra. She got information that her daughter is mentally unstable, so she came all the way from the Bronx Alpha region to bring her to the hospital, only to be told that the Pantang Hospital, Psychiatric Hospital, is not working currently. They are on strike and they cannot attend to her daughter. She says that she's worried because her daughter, because of her condition, she feels her daughter could, attack somebody if she should take her back home without any medication or without any. She says soon their pain will be over, as Health Minister Kweku Agyeman-Menu says he has managed to reach a consensus with the private developer putting up many of the structures at the frontage of the Pantang Hospital.
Luckily, after engaging with him, he seems to have accepted my proposal that he's going to hold on with developments temporarily, and I've stressed temporarily, until we engage properly later after. And that is when we will find a solution to the matter. So with this message, I met with the staff and management of the hospital. They seem to have accepted the proposal and my plea. So they will get back to work tomorrow. That was the understanding.
He also took the opportunity to address the debt situation of the hospital.
Working close with the finance minister to try to see how they can upscale some resources for us. After the approval of the budget, what we have, not until he goes for a supplementary budget, it will be very difficult for him to release anything for us at all. The bottom line of the matter is that the previous government has committed debts, not in the Ministry of Finance, just Ministry of Health, debt overhang. It's close to about 134 million Ghana cedi as at end of December 2016. To the extent that co-funding for sponsors who support this country, donor partners, to even procure vaccines for all the hospitals in our country, 2016, the government paid zero.
Health workers are expected to resume work on Thursday. Reporting for Joy News, Maxwell Agbaba.
President Akufo-Addo has identified youth unemployment as the biggest challenge facing Ghana and the entire West African sub-region. He fears the consequences may be grave if immediate steps are not taken to address that challenge. The president has been holding discussions with the visiting president of Switzerland, Doris Leuthard, who is in the country as a keynote speaker at a program organized by think tank Imani Ghana. For President Akufo-Addo, slow growth in the economies of Africa could be blamed for the joblessness on the continent, a situation he says, if addressed, would prevent needless deaths on the Mediterranean of migrants in search of better lives abroad.
Our biggest challenge is how to find work for our young people. Too many young people in Ghana, in West Africa, in the African continent do not have work to do because our economies are not growing and expanding at a sufficient rate to absorb them. So that is the biggest overarching consideration of ours. How we can grow our economies and expand our economies in such a way that we can generate jobs for all these young people. I don't have to tell you about the consequences of low growth and even if it's growth, it's jobless growth that we've seen in Africa in recent times. The consequences are there. We see it on the television stations around the world. These harrowing pictures, extremely distressful, nightmarish pictures of young Africans perishing in the Sahara and in the seas of the Mediterranean, trying to get into Europe, is directly linked the absence of opportunity that there is so far in our country. So what you're talking about today when you're looking for a new basis of cooperation with Ghana, and the new strategy, which is about attempting to enhance the competitiveness of Ghanaian enterprises, assisting in the process of diversification of our economies, I believe is cooperation which is headed in exactly the direction that we want our countries to go. We want this country to go into.
President Akufo-Addo also took advantage of the visit to woo Swiss investors into the country, promising them a business-friendly environment.
My government, in its first budget, announced measures that enhance at attracting investment, domestic and foreign, into Ghana, as well as stimulating growth of the private sector. We have introduced a monetary policy that is stabilizing the currency and significantly reducing the cost of borrowing, and introduced a raft of tax measures which are bringing relief and encouraging business. These interventions are lowering the cost of doing business and shifting the focus of our economy from taxation to production. They have been put in place to build the most business-friendly economy in Africa and create jobs and prosperity for all Ghanaians. I am thus notifying Swiss investors to take advantage of the growing business-friendly climate in the country to invest in Ghana. Our flagship policies of one district, one factory, one village, one dam, and the program for planting for food and jobs map out areas of opportunity which I commend to you. Your Excellency, my government shares in your vision, as outlined in your new strategy for cooperation with Ghana, that the basis for cooperation has to go beyond aid and has to be anchored on trade and investment. And to that end, the new strategy for Swiss-Ghana cooperation aims to support the improved competitiveness of Ghanaian enterprises and the diversification of the Ghanaian economy.
Doris Luthard, who was elected in January this year, in her statement said Switzerland will continue to support Ghana and Africa to improve the lives of their people.
We're very, very pleased about what you already achieved in your country. You helped such a lot of people having a decent life. That's why we signed some minutes ago another cooperation program, which might be help a lot of people investing here, opening their small own business, having also mechanisms, education, and a reliable administration. I'm very proud that we have among us also Swiss companies present here from various fields of our economy, covering energy, covering pharmaceutical industry, covering logistics, covering the finance system, and chocolate. What we've seen also yesterday and heard is a strong agriculture pillar here, with cocoa, with a lot of fruits, and I think here also Switzerland is already a good partner. We could this morning visit also a co-production of Swiss management quality and the wonderful Ghana mangoes and pineapples. That's exactly what the finance minister needs to have good results to fight against deficits, to have earnings, and what the president is prioritizing, having new jobs for a lot of young people who are today jobless.
Now, a really foul stench that greets motorists and passers-by as you approach the Sakamang Junction near Weja here in Accra has been traced to a massive refuse dump in the middle of the Malam market. The odor is so foul, you can smell it 300 meters away. The majority of the traders at the market are unhappy about the situation, but there are, however, some of them who are not that concerned about its implications on their health and actually have no problem coexisting with the mounting of filth. Joy News' Matilda Vomega visited the area and has more in the following report.
The refuse dump sited right in the market covers a huge part of the Malam land. It's an awful smell that greets you right from the Sakamang Junction through to the Malam Junction here in Accra. A walk through the Malam pavement into the market are foodstuffs openly displayed for sale. Though these market women are worried about the insanitary condition they and their patrons are exposed to, they say there's very little they can do to help the situation. Someone is in charge of the refuse dump. It's a contract. They charge people for dumping refuse here, and we suffer the consequences. We have suffered a lot because of this refuse dump sited here. We want government to address the situation for us.
Had the whole Sakamang, a binumukra to me, Gina, me, a but mini option bia. If you say young kasa ya report some.
The situation here isn't new, and we are not the only ones affected by it. The entire market is engulfed in filth. We have reported the issue several times to the AMA, but the situation remains the same.
Bola sem sumin ka ho asem bebre. Yofu. Okay, member, Menche, Menage, no one will come as I'm a badger, no doom, Nameakurama Yojala, or
It smells. So when people come, they leave. We are losing our customers because of the stench. We hope government will do something about what we are going through.
Despite the insanitary conditions and health implications, the market enjoys quite some patronage.
It is unbearable, and I don't have a choice. If I don't come to Malam Market, where am I going? I'm going to Agbogloshi, and Agbogloshi is even worse.
We took a walk to the refuse dump, which has now become the dumping grounds for filth for many parts of the city. We counted at least 20 mini refuse trucks, about to offload refuse they have collected from surrounding communities. They are charged 2 cedis by people who manage the landfill site. Nathaniel is one of the managers of this place.
It is not a permanent stuff. It's not permanent.
But this has been on for close to 6 years, like you said.
Because the reason why we are doing this thing is that we are doing a reclamation. We don't get support from government. We don't get support from anybody. Do you understand me? From the district assembly, we are not getting support. So when they dump here, somebody will take something from them. We organize that money. We used to buy gravels.
One of the market executives reiterates why the dump is needed.
I don't think it's affecting us. Even if it's affecting us too, we are reclaiming the last my boss said. So we want the market to build for us. So if they will come in to help us to reclaim this as we are saying, I think it will better, and all this will stop. As I was having put here, if you see, you can see. One truck is 5 million. And I don't think that's one will be enough for us to do the work, as I was saying. So we are praying. As for praying, we are doing this. For all these years, if they even came in to help us, I think it will be a problem.
Customers we've even spoken to have issues with the stench in the market.
Oh, as for business, it's normal. It's for normal everywhere. Nowadays, the business is not going well, but not here only.
But don't you think it's because for those of you within Mala markets, the business is not going because of the stench?
It's not only Mala markets.
But it's only Mala market you find this huge refuse dump with the smell coming outside. It goes all the way to Odoko.
Madam, as I was saying, let them come to help us so that we stop.
At this rate, it may take the intervention of the local assembly to resolve the problem. The AMA has, however, been unavailable for comment. For Joy News, Matilda Romaga, Malam, Accra.
What we're saying in the area, residents at Sampa village near Weja here in Accra are struggling to deal with the excess water spillage from the dam. They have until now refused to relocate. Joy News has been finding out how residents have been coping with the situation. Forgive, America has the rest of the story.
I am at Sampa Valley, precisely Weja, where the Weja Dam has been opened, and this is the result of the spillage of the water. Houses around has been affected, and this has even caused the school children to stay at home because they can't go through the water to school. I will be speaking to some of the residents around here to tell me about their experiences and how they are coping with the spillage of the Weja Dam. Moreover, if you have to walk through this to your house, then the water will have to be at the knee level, and then you accompany yourself with a stick, as this woman is rightly doing behind me. I will be engaging some of the residents to find out from them precisely how they are able to move around this place. I'm also told that 2 days ago there was a man in a canoe who was trying to fish around, trying to scout out to see if he can take advantage of the situation to get some food. So I'm here with Madam Oforiwa, who is a resident of this place where this is happening. She's going to give me chronicles of how this thing happened and then what challenges they are facing as residents. How many days?
1 week. 1 week start here.
We walk through the water because we have no choice. It's a week ago when the spillage happened. We have been trapped in our rooms, not going anywhere. Our children cannot go to school. We prepare ahead so that we are not caught up by the darkness walking in the water. Some authorities came here to film and talk to us, but nothing happened. They should look at the dam and rectify this for us.
So I've been here for the past 10 years or so, and it's a perennial thing, but I think over the past 2-3 years it has been a little bit on the low side. But this year's has been a little bit hectic because I think the dam has been open for, I don't know, I was told since February or so, but I cannot be sure. What it does is, I think they have to take their time in opening because of the havoc that it causes. So nobody's saying that nobody should open the dam. The dam should be open because, of course, it has a national implication if the dam gets burst. But at least for opening it gently will not cause that much havoc. Otherwise, I think as I heard from the news a few days ago, maybe they have to look at the pathway into the sea and see whether they can do some dredging as they promised, and then that should be able to clear, because most residents here have already moved out. If you were here about 2-3 days ago, you see truck ferrying people out of this place, but I think something can be done about it.
I chanced on Kwame Asamoah, who is using a boat within the vicinity. What he does with the boat is to commute residents to their houses. He takes any amount, you give him 50 pesos, 1 CD, and he seems to take delight in the job.
My name is Kwame Asamoah.
What do you use this boat for in this area?
Some boat, because of water. Somebody they buy something, I go draw for the somebody they buy anything.
Hey, customer. So how many people you put for inside?
4 people.
Oh, okay. How much do they charge them?
Oh, you know, pay about maybe 50 pesos if you 1 CD.
Okay. So any money you go give there, it'll be okay.
Yeah, man.
Oh, okay. So it is something you like they do, or because of the waterway they use to help people?
Because of the water. No be water, that one I don't use for this place.
So you just go buy the boats, or?
Yeah, because of the water.
It's not too much of a lucrative business, but he's also contributing his little quota to the challenge which the people of Sampa Valley in Weja are experiencing. It is likely that this may cause other havoc if care is not taken.
Well, 10 cedis may be a snack to you, but it is actually someone's daily wage. Indeed, the daily minimum wage in Ghana is currently 8 cedis 80 pesos, but billed to go up to 9 cedis 68 pesos from January next year. You may wonder how anyone can survive on this, but there are some who actually earn less than that. Our focus today, however, is on Abigail, a cleaner who earns a little above the minimum wage, but says it is hardly ever enough for her. Joy News' Daniel Daze took her out for lunch.
9 cedis 68 pesos. This is how much hundreds of thousands of workers across Ghana will be earning per day from next year. But what does 10 Ghana cedis, if you are rounding it up, mean to you? Is it for a quick fuel top-up that you use it for? Or maybe you even buy telephone credits, or you pick a quick lunch? Today I'll be talking to someone who has to depend on 10 cedis each and every day for her total expenses. Abigail is her name. Let's find out more about her. Abigail, what work do you do?
I'm a cleaner, and I work around a bank in Kukulumemle.
And where do you live?
I live at Newtown.
So what is the first thing that you spend on in a day?
I first bought a car from Newtown, and I light at Kokomlemle Sadisco Junction.
Which is where we are standing now. We are at Kokomlemle Sadisco Junction.
Yes.
And how much does the trotro charge you?
1 cedi 60 pesos.
1 cedi 60 pesos.
Yes.
Okay. So that's your fare. So if we deduct 1 cedi
60 pesos
from 9 cedi 68 pesos, we now have 8 cedis
20 pesos.
8 cedis 8 pesos actually. It's 9 cedis 68 pesos. So
Yes.
8 cedis 8 pesos. Okay, so let's see what you spend on next.
After paying for her transportation, Abigail often buys breakfast, which she tells me often costs her 2 Ghana cedis, making her total expenditure 3 cedis 60 pesos, leaving her with 6 cedis 8 pesos. But it's now time for lunch, so I followed her to her local wache joint.
Like I said,
Good afternoon.
Like I said,
Good afternoon.
Like I said,
Good afternoon.
So this is lunch.
Yes.
What did you buy?
Wache 2 cedis, gari with salad 1 cedi and 1 egg.
And all of this is how much?
4 cedis.
Okay. Is this like enough for you? Is this what
Yes, it's okay.
So now how much money are we left with now?
2 cedis.
Okay, we came here with 6 cedis.
Yes.
And we bought food worth 4 cedis. And so technically we came with 6 cedis, 8 pesos. And we bought food worth 4 cedis. We are left with 2 cedis, 8 pesos.
After lunch, it's back to work, but soon it will be time to close, which will bring her back to Sandisco Junction.
So Abigail, we are back where we started at Sandisco Junction.
Yes.
And how much are we left with now?
2 cedis.
So what does this 2 cedis do?
Okay, the 2 cedis now, I'm close from work, so I have to get back home. So I have to board a car from Sandisco Junction to 55 Junction.
To 55 Junction?
Yes.
And when you get back, you walk a bit home or it's right there?
Yes, I have to walk a bit to work.
So for the 2 cedis, 8 pesos, how much will it cost you to get back?
1 cedi 60 pesos.
The same as when you were coming. So now you're left with 48 pesos from the 9 cedis 68 pesos. So normally when you go home with the 48 pesos, what happens? Do you buy some water? Do you?
Yes, I'll buy water.
Okay.
That's the only thing I'll use that 48 pesos.
So how much do you think that if you were using in a day, you would like live comfortably, you do everything that you would have wanted to do?
Either 15 cedis or 20 cedis would be okay for me a day.
So if you had 20 cedis, what would you use it for?
That 20 cedis, I can use to say every day. I have to save money.
If you thought 10 cedis or 9 cedis, 68 pesos could not do much in a day, Abigail has been able to make some savings of 48 pesos off it. Maybe next time you see a green note, you'll have a little more respect for it. For Joy News, my name is Daniel Dazi at Sandisco Junction.
All right, so how about a living wage for Abigail? Maybe, as she requested, 20 cedis a day. Note, we end Joy News Prime. My name is Ozula. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.
This is Joy News Prime.